Hello, students. So we are going to discuss the topic eugenics today. That is related to the Mendelian genetics in humans. Now we are going to discuss only about humans. Although eugenic topic is being there since a very long time, even before this study or even before the detailed discovery of genes or genotype was there, eugenics was always there, not in a pure form of scientific manner, but the humans used to carry out eugenics or practice of eugenics amongst the cattle and the crops on the basis of the characteristics they've studied in the pure generation or in the ancestral generation of the crops or the cattle. So earlier, humans used to keep eugenics from agriculture point of view or carry out eugenics from agriculture point of view, did not consider eugenics to or the application of eugenics in medicine or in any other form in the human society. But eugenics took its first step, or eugenics came into human society, or application of eugenics came into human society in America. So we are going to discuss about the history of eugenics and how eugenics works, or what is the concept of eugenics. So in the last lecture, we discussed about the Mendelian genetics application in the humans, and we found that the Mendelian genetics do not show complete uh, application in humans. There are certain exceptions, whether the exceptions in the form of codominance, where there's no complete dominance, the two genes or two alleles, they express themselves in presence of each other. So there's no complete dominant or complete recessive allele over here. Certain characters such as the blood grouping is one of the example where this codominance, where the two different alleles, two different alleles of a single gene uh, control the characters. So in humans, the Mendelian genetics has many different exceptions. And before going on for the eugenics, I just wanted to tell you that in humans, the effect of gene on certain characters are very different. Now, there's one thing known as the polygenic inheritance. Now, polygenic inheritance is something which is very important to understand before going on for eugenics. Now, as per Mendel, it was that one factor which was controlling one character. So it's like if the factor is that was the gene, because Mendel didn't know that there was no term as gene at that time. So Mendel called it as factor. So according to Mendel, one factor controls one character. Even after that, those workers who worked on the genetics, they did not know that there is not the same thing. There's one thing called as polygenic inheritance. Polygenic means it's not one gene which is controlling one character. Polygenic inheritance says that for one character, there are multiple genes. Okay, so one gene could control multiple characters, or it could be that one character controlled by multiple genes. So one gene controlling multiple character, one character controlled by multiple genes. So even if one of the gene shows any type of mutation or change, the character is affected. So it's very important to understand that in humans, the genetic function is very different from the plants or what Mendel has said. Because Mendel's work was a very basic type of the basic or the foundation work in genetics. In advanced genetics, we see that in humans, the Mendelian genetics shows a lot of exceptions. So we're going to discuss about eugenics, and as you know that polygenic inheritance works in humans. So eugenics started in America. This person, he is Francis Galton. He was a cousin of Charles Darwin. Yes, Charles Darwin, the father of evolution. We call it the father of evolution. Darwin was working on and putting forward his theory. He was doing very good in the field of evolutionary biology. And as you all know, what happens in family, if one of the cousin is doing good, the other cousin becomes the scapegoat, or poor Galton was suffering from inferiority complex due to Darwin. That Darwin is doing so good in his field, biologist. De Vries was there, was supporting him with this mutation theory, and Darwin also got the knowledge about from through De Vries about the Mendel's work. Galton also got to know about Mendel's work that such thing happens, that there is certain factors which are controlling the character, and he was also interested in working in. First he wanted to work in evolutionary biology, then he wanted to work in genetics. So he was kind of a very confused guy, and he proposed and he carried out many experiments also, although he failed in all those experiments. But he wanted to carry on these experiments. He moved around to the world, he went on to different countries, he saw different cultures, different populations, peoples, and when he came back, he came to a conclusion. Now, Darwin also went for an expedition, just like Galton. How Galton went on, Galton saw Darwin gaya expedition to chalo hum bhi jayenge. So Galton also went on an expedition in different countries, just like Darwin. But when Darwin came back, he gave us the theory of natural selection. He gave us the theory or concept of speciation, or the theory of survival of the fittest. But when Galton came back, Galton said no. The only population or only human race which could be called as the proper human race was the people who were living in Europe, the European peoples, and rest of the world, especially the African nations, the Asian nations, and at that time when it was found that the American continent people, it was called as the New World or the Third World people. According to him, these people are not fit enough in case of their genetic makeup to survive or to form a human society. So Galton, first of all, put forward this small term called as eugenics. What do you mean by eugenics? According to eugenics, if you break up the word, eugenics means all good characters. Genic was for characters, all good characters. So all the humans who have good characters. So good character, study of character, human good characters, study of characters of humans. Those who carry on the good character, just like how Mendel studied dominant and recessive. So over here, Galton decided or judged which characters are dominant or which are good characters, and he promoted the selective breeding in humans, just like how humans were going on in agriculture, like we were selective breeding cattle. So by doing selective breeding, we increase the productivity. So if there is a dairy cattle, we selectively breed a particular cow with a particular bull, so that the progeny will give you more production, either in the form of milk or in the form of meat. So we do selective breeding in crops also, as well as in cattle, in animal husbandry. Galton promoted selective breeding in humans. Now this is something very interesting because it was not done in the time of the Second World War. Selective breeding or racial discrimination was started from this period. So selective breeding in human is something like it's not like allowing particular person. It was like controlling the marriages also. Certain group of people, they were not allowed to marry certain other people. So there was a control, like he promoted that there should be a control on marriages. There should be a control on who is going to breed or who is going to mate with someone. So that was a very controversial step, controversial stand taken up by Galton. And what his rationale for this was that by going for selective breeding in humans, what we will do is we will only promote good characters. Uh, Promotion of good characters, like he wanted to promote only good characters among the human society. That means that all those people who were having certain disease, certain uh, features which are not considered to be good, certain characters which are not considered to be high enough, or let's say IQ not high enough. So if there is an examination, people who fail the exam were not allowed to breed, or allowed to reproduce, or allowed to marry, or allowed to have family. So promotion of good characters in the population will lead to formation of a new human society. That human society will have only those people who have those dominant genes or those dominant factors, and that will like create a society where uh, no none of of the person will have low IQ, or none of them will have any disorder or disease. So this was like compulsion on the humans or compulsion on the society to follow the theory that they should go for eugenics study what all characters are good or bad, and then discriminate among the humans or discriminate among the society. And it was like to promote good characters in the population, to have a human population or a very evolved human society. So in a way, like Galton was what Darwin said was natural selection, and now what Galton was doing was not natural selection. It was actually it was like systematic mating, going for a selective breeding, going for development of new or evolution of its own kind of a new human society without any mutant or without any recessive gene or recessive allele or recessive factor, as to say. So that was what Galton proposed, and that's how eugenics got the first place in the human society, in the scientific world, in European nation. After the second person who promoted eugenics was in America. He is John Harvey Kellogg. Is the same person who invented the cornflakes. Yes, Kellogg's cornflakes is invented by John Harvey Kellogg, and he was the first person basically to promote eugenics in America. He was like he was very much inspired by Galton's theory that there should be certain racial cleanliness, what he called, and he in 1896 uh, started a word, or he started a movement known as racial hygiene. According to racial hygiene, like it was like racism among humans, like on the basis of the race, the humans should be allowed to breed or not. So racial hygiene, like he was in favor that person, no person with African race should marry or should reproduce with the white person. So he was completely against the marriage of black and white peoples. So he was like, white people should have their own racial hygiene. There should not be black genes in the white population. So it was 1896, what quite old. There was no humanitarian agency who was going to raise any voice or oppose this thing. And racial discrimination was very common. And one of the argument was like this scientific argument given about racial hygiene. So Kellogg's also started one thing known as the P-degree register. This is very uh, depressing if you study some more. If you want to study, you want to go for in detail, you can go and search for P-degree register registry in America in 1911 to 1928. This is before World War II. Okay, what happened over in PW register? As I was told, the people were given an exam. They were supposed to give an exam like an IQ test, and those people who had very low IQ, they were like they were declared as feeble minds, and they were like they are not good enough to remain in the society, or they are not good enough citizens to reproduce or to marry. So even they were kept in special camps. They were not allowed to meet their own family. Even if they had their family, they had their children, they were not allowed to have their family with them. They were kept in a separate camp. This was inhuman, but it was carried out. And then even a small office was started in America itself, which was called as the Eugenics Record Office, to keep records of all those people who were declared as the feeble minds. And this was in 1928. Uh, this study, although was not accepted by many people, that this is not acceptable. People have a right. People have a right to live. They have a right to reproduce. But in 1911, 1928, it was not that much in force. So people were suffering. The American people did suffer due to such misconceptions of eugenics. Then came 1940. Then came this person, Wilhelm John Hansen. Wilhelm John Hansen in 1903 gave the concept of gene. He gave the concept of genotype and phenotype, and he's the person who also gave the concept of pure line. Pure line. Now, what we were discussing, or what the term we heard from the from Mr. Kellogg, was the racial hygiene. Now, this is what is called as pure line. Pure line means unadulterated genotype or unadulterated genome, where one of the genome is completely void of, or there's no other gene from any other human population. So a white population should have only white gene. There should not be a gene from any black population. So this was like pure line. And see, these studies, which were supposed to be carried out on for the benefit of human being in agriculture or in animal husbandry, this same principles were carried out on humans, considering humans as one of the factor. Like humans are considered as animals, and instead of animal husbandry, human societies were targeted with eugenic studies. So considering all this, or like using all this studies, or using all this research as a front or as an argument, this person started racial cleansing. This person, who is known as Hitler in the 1940s during the World War II, he started something called as racial cleansing. According to him, the Nazis Uh, Nazis were the Aryans. Aryans were the purebred, the pure lines, who had those wild type of pure type of genome, and their genome should not be adulterated or manipulated by addition of certain other racial genes, such as the Jews. This was quite a controversial thing, and according to Hitler, Jews were not fit enough. In fact, the Jews were having those poor genetic makeup, or the poor genotype, and for that, Hitler started those racial cleansing exercises. He made those concentration camps, and in those camps he captured and kept all those Jews, and he carried out Holocaust, uh, and something we called as the genocide. Genocide is like, he wanted to clean all the genotypes. Okay, genocide. You heard the word, the pesticide, when we kill the pest. According to Hitler, if you want to clean the race, if you want to have a human society with pure genes, those strong dominant genes, you should first of all clean all the weaker genes, or those faulty genes, those mutated genes, weak characters bearing humans. And for that, he killed all the humans, and that is how he wanted to clean or wipe out all the weaker genes from the surface of the earth. And that is what is the word emerged out known as genocide, completely killing one of a gene pool. He wanted to wipe off one of the gene pool from the surface of earth. That is the term came genocide. This is the history of eugenics in human society. Uh, Earlier, humans did not have that sense that to carry out such a good application in a proper manner. So, but now, as we all are aware, eugenics has its own different face. Now, eugenics, or modern eugenics, to be called as to be better known as the human genetic engineering. Now, we change or remove genes to prevent disease. We don't kill humans. We don't wipe out gene pools. We cure diseases. We improve the body in significant way, and they have those human genes which have their potential health benefits. We use the gene therapies for disease curing and certain life diseases as well. Now, when we talk about modern eugenics, we know this in term like genetic counseling, like pedigree analysis. What we do, we go for genetic counseling. Uh, we ask the person that what type of history of that particular disease is there in the family, or are there any hereditary diseases which are going on. Genetic counseling is one part of eugenics now, and with the help of genetic counseling, many life-threatening diseases like cancers are also being treated or prevented, to be say basically. Like say for example, there is one gene known as BRAY1 gene, which is said to be responsible for the causing of breast cancer. If a person's genotype or genome shows presence of this gene, there is a high probability that this gene might become oncogene and the person may suffer from breast cancer. And for preventing, preventing breast cancer, we have witnessed in the past also that the women have gone for mastectomy. The best example is one of those Hollywood actress Angelina Jolie, how she went for mastectomy, and because she found out that her genome has that BRAY1 gene, which could lead to formation of breast cancer. And to avoid such things, she went for mastectomy. See, this is how eugenics could be used. Study of the ancestral hereditary characters could be used in such a way, in a positive way, in preventing life-threatening diseases. Also, certain genetic disorders could be prevented. Now, genetic disorders or the inborn errors of metabolism could be prevented by carrying out the prenatal diagnostic techniques. Now, prenatal diagnosis is done that prenatal. Prenatal means before the birth. So, prenatal diagnosis can be carried out on the unborn child when the child is in the mother's womb. So even before the child is born, the test can be carried out. Like karyotyping can be done to see whether the total number of chromosomes are normal or not. The chromosomal morphology can be studied. Whether is there any aberration on the chromosome or not. Or again, the study of the genes can be done to see whether there is any type of disorder carrying gene. So this was about eugenics students. We'll discuss about this more in detail in your class.